Welcome to the swamp. So, this game came across my feed a bit back, advertised as a survival city builder and for sale for a minimum fee. I decided to check out Alek the Lost Kingdom and see what it was about. I will note up front that this game is in very early access. This is more of a first impressions rather than a true rating, so I'm not going to be rating the categories like I normally do for that reason. Treat this like a tech demo and see what it has to offer for right now. Alek the Lost Kingdom is a game where you can claim land and build villages to spread your kingdom. There are light survival mechanics like eating, but you can also choose to build camps and survive in the wild if the village life isn't for you. There is no customization right now, however it is planned to be added by the next update or two, including a system for Alek to turn into an adult by level 10, looking taller and growing facial hair as well. There is no ceremony for your entering of the world. You are plopped right in front of a free land to claim. You start off with almost nothing depending on what game mode you choose, and will have the option to survive with a camp, or to choose to build your general store, which also acts as your player house. And to begin your village, your first step will be to grind for resources yourself, but as more villagers start to live with you, you can start to automate collection and building. As of right now, there is not much to the exploration. The next patch of this game plans to add 2 new biomes to expand the map, by extending the forest biome to be 3 times larger and adding a mountain biome with snow and a few creatures. For now, as you explore what little there is of the map, you can find at least 3 goblin villages as well as an NPC village that you can either befriend or go to war with. While discovering the map, I did find what looked like caves and passages, however they didn't do anything just yet, so that tells me most likely it is planned for a future content update to add dungeons, caves, as well as passages to these new lands. The map is just big enough that it will feel as if you can't really go anywhere without a horse, so you will either need to buy or tame one. I tamed both of my horses, and to do that, you have to do a mini game. If you're going to do the mini game taming with the baby horse, it is much easier and faster, though you will have to wait for it to grow up, of course, to use it. But if you go to tame an adult horse, it is much harder and will almost require several nooses, as they will break easier. After that, you register them to a stable or hitch them to the general store. Just make sure you feed them and saddle them. The survival is minimal in this game, at least right now. You only really have a food bar, which goes down with more stamina usage, so like running and fighting. You can make a survival camp to live alone and have a small amount of animals and defense, as well as storage. You can even craft a workbench that will help with different items to create that you actually cannot create in the village itself, though you can't do everything without a village, which will lead us to our next category. You can build large villages and expand your territory over time. As you grow more, you can get more villages to automate your production and gathering. You will also notice that your buildings all have red roofs, as well as the armor that you make. This is your banner color, as the other NPC village is blue. That village is a neutral party that you can either befriend and trade with, or you could become enemies and siege their walls. I do like the trading system. You can ask for supplies or send them supplies. By sending them supplies, they will pay you money. It is also neat watching your horse and carriage walk the road to head to the other village. It is annoying as they will take the long way around and go through a couple of goblin towns, so you will need to assign a few guards. Make sure your defenses are sound and you have a small army ready, as you will be frequently attacked by goblins looking to cause havoc and kill your villagers. At least at the start of the game, it was almost impossible to leave the village, as the moment you do, your village would get attacked by goblins, so make sure you have walls and warriors, as that is a priority if you wish to go explore. There is another system for base defense, but we'll get to that in the PvE section. An annoyance that I hope is changed with the building system is that when you place a building, you cannot move it. So if you wanted to rearrange, you would have to destroy it and replace it, and rebuild it. When you destroy a piece, it does give you back the resources, but they land on the ground, so you have to go and retrieve them afterward instead of it returning to the resource tab automatically. The crafting, as I already mentioned, can be automated by your villagers. You just need to make sure that you stock up on tools for them to use in the general store. One thing I really like is that the blacksmith, you could tell them to keep a certain amount of items in stock always. So, as they are taken by the villagers to use, the blacksmith will refill the inventory, at least with certain items like tools, armor, and weapons. Trees within your village boundary will respawn pretty fast, about an in-game day or so. Same with stone and iron, so you really never run out of resources. You just might need to wait some time for them to respawn again if you collect them all too fast. Now with the crafting system, you can clearly see tons of crafting recipes that are listed, but you are unable to make them at this time, as it is still missing from the game. I would say there is one thing I don't like. While some items like apples and meat you can collect yourself and add to the stock of the general store, you can also take it out afterward if you need it. Though the issue comes that there are some items you cannot do either of. A lot of the resources, once they are deposited, you cannot withdraw them for yourself anymore. And the same, if you have weapons or armor for an example, you cannot deposit them. So if a warrior of your village dies, you can loot their gear, but you cannot redeposit it into the general store for another villager to take. So I hope that gets updated in the future. The PvE is very basic right now. You have weapons of a few variety. You can use a bow, two-handed weapons, one-handed sword with shield. I do like that the bow does not require ammo, so you can shoot it as much as you want. Though with the sword and shield, it's very basic. Swing for attack or block with the shield. Nothing really else. I have found a few potions from defeating stronger enemies, but you can't craft them just yet. As I mentioned before, there are no caves or dungeons. However, the goblin villages around the map you can raid. You can either try them solo, bring a party of NPCs with you, or you could declare war from your village and send out your army to demolish them. You can let them go out and defeat the goblins by themselves, or you can go with them and help them destroy the village, in which case you can loot the goblin chief's hut afterward for some loot. You can optionally declare war on your neighbor NPC village and destroy it. It is up to you whether you wish to make peace and trade with them or conquer him. Just make sure you have a fully armored army of a few dozen or so. Other than that, I guess you could say there are a few mini bosses around the map, being the big black bears as well as the goblin chiefs. But so far, the variety of creatures is really weak, though that will be improved in the next update. On top of the regular raids of the goblins, there is also an event that happens once an in-game week called a blood moon. The default for the server is 5 days, but I set it to every 7 days, so it would be an exact week. I don't really know what else this blood moon does other than host a larger raid of goblins to tear down your village. I was prepared for them, so they really only knocked down one of my walls and killed a few peasants who tried to repair that wall. So nothing too bad, though if you don't put resources into good stone walls and have a lot of ranger lookouts, you will have a more difficult time of it. The wildlife of this map is not diverse just yet. As I said before, in the upcoming logs, there will be a ton more creatures added to the game, but for right now, there is just only wolves, bears, and these little mushroom creatures that are annoying as hell. The goblins tend to stay in their villages unless they're attacking yours. The version I am playing right now is the version 1.31. It is more like a tech demo with very little to do other than testing the various building and some of the combat components. The next patch will be a much larger update with character customization, a larger map with a few biomes, caves, variety in villagers, armors, and so on. The issue is how long it will be until this patch is out, as I see posts from a few months ago for what the developer was working on for this next patch, so we'll have to wait and see as to how fast these content updates will actually come out. When it comes to bugs and lag, I didn't really have any lag at all. The game ran fairly well on my computer, and there were not really a lot of bugs either, at least not terrible ones. The few that I saw were just a couple of graphical errors that didn't really harm the game too much. So overall, I would say that the game is in a solid state right now. My overall thoughts on this little tech demo for Alek the Lost Kingdom is that the game ran fairly well. It took a bit of playing to get into the rhythm of systems for the building and for the village management, but once I got used to it, it was pretty fun overall. The goblin raids are a bit annoying, but you can fend them off easily after a while. Declaring war is one of my favorite things, so I can't wait to see how that is expanded in the future. I would say to anyone watching this video, this game is a definite wishlist game. I would wait until at least the next content update to buy it, but as of right now, it has a great foundation, and I want to see how it grows in the future. Maybe in a year or two, I will revisit this game and give it a review as I normally would have for any other survival game. But until then, I will see you next time.